You said one weird thing in a conversation 3 years ago, and you still think about it. You rehearse conversations in your head before they happen, and then again after they happen, in case you said something wrong. Someone takes too long to reply to your message, and your brain has already written 5 different explanations for why they hate you. You Google symptoms and somehow convince yourself you're dying, every time. You overanalyze someone's tone, a 2-word text, a facial expression that lasted half a second. You can't enjoy a compliment because your brain immediately searches for the hidden insult. You make a decision, then unmake it, then make it again, then question it for the next 3 days. And the worst part, you know you're overthinking. You know it's irrational, but knowing doesn't stop it. If any of this sounds like you, there's a reason. And it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because your brain is wired differently than most people's, and that wiring has a name. People who overthink have a more active default mode network. That's the part of your brain that runs when you're not focused on anything specific. Most people's brains quiet down when there's nothing to do. Yours doesn't. It starts looking for problems. No tasks to do? It replays old conversations. No real threats? It invents future ones. No problems? It creates them. It's like a security guard who never goes home. Even when the building is empty, they're still checking every door. And this is where it gets interesting, because that security guard isn't a flaw, it's a feature. People who overthink are, on average, better at detecting threats, better at reading social cues, better at anticipating problems before they happen. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's running a more thorough scan than everyone else's. The problem isn't that you think too much. The problem is that your brain doesn't know when to stop. Here's what's happening. Your brain treats uncertainty the same way it treats physical danger. An unanswered text, an ambiguous comment, a decision with no clear right answer. To your brain, all of these are open threats, and your brain hates open threats. It wants resolution, closure, an answer. So it keeps thinking, searching, analyzing, trying to close the loop. That's why you can't let things go. Your brain treats an unresolved conversation like an open wound. It keeps poking at it, trying to heal it. Think about the last time you were embarrassed. Your body probably cringed right now just reading that. That's not a memory. That's your brain reliving the threat. Overthinkers don't just remember embarrassing moments. They re-experience them. The same stress chemicals flood your body as if it were happening again. And it gets worse at night, because during the day, your brain is busy. It has tasks, distractions, input. But at night, when everything goes quiet, your brain has nothing to process. So it pulls up the archives, every mistake, every awkward moment, every what if. This is why overthinkers often struggle to fall asleep. It's not insomnia, it's your brain refusing to go off duty. And here's something most people don't realize. Overthinking is closely linked to creativity. The same brain that keeps you up at 3 a.m. replaying a conversation is the same brain that connects ideas nobody else connects, that sees patterns nobody else sees. Writers, artists, inventors, problem solvers, they tend to be overthinkers because deep thinking and overthinking use the same machinery. The difference between an overthinker and a genius isn't the thinking, it's whether the thinking is pointed at a problem worth solving or a fear that doesn't exist. So the question isn't how to stop overthinking. You can't. Your brain is built this way. The question is how to aim it. Overthinkers are usually the quiet ones in the group, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've already had the entire conversation in their head and decided it wasn't worth having out loud. They're the ones who notice when something is off about a person before anyone else does. They plan for disasters that never happen, but when a disaster actually does happen, they're the calmest person in the room because they already ran this scenario 100 times. They care deeply, almost too deeply. A small comment that most people would forget in seconds lives in an overthinker's head for weeks. They struggle with decisions not because they're weak, but because they see every possible outcome of every possible choice. Ordering food at a restaurant, that's a strategic operation. Sending a text, that's a draft, a revision, a deletion, and a rewrite. Sometimes they just don't send it at all.
And apologizing, even when it's not their fault, overthinkers do this constantly because their brain has already constructed a scenario where it might be their fault. If you're watching this and relating to every single point, you need to understand something. Overthinking is not a disorder. It's not a disease. It's a thinking style. And like any tool, it can work for you or against you. The people who learn to channel it become the most thoughtful friends, the most prepared leaders, and the most creative minds in the room. The people who don't, they spiral. They exhaust themselves. They lie awake at 3 a.m. fighting an enemy that doesn't exist. So how do you aim it? First, write it down. Your brain loops because it thinks the thought will be lost. Put it on paper and the loop breaks. Second, set a worry window. Give yourself 10 minutes a day to overthink on purpose. The rest of the day, when a thought comes, you tell it, "Not now. I'll deal with you at 6 p.m." Third, when you catch yourself spiraling, ask one question. Is this a problem I can solve right now? If yes, solve it. If no, your brain is wasting energy on something it can't change. Fourth, move your body. Go for a walk, exercise, do anything physical. Your brain struggles to overthink when your body is demanding resources. And fifth, talk to someone, out loud. Because the moment you say the thing you've been overthinking, you'll hear how much smaller it sounds than it felt. Overthinkers often suffer alone because they don't want to bother anyone. But the irony is that the people around them would gladly listen. They just don't know you need them to. Here's the truth about overthinkers that nobody tells you. Overthinkers are not anxious because they're weak. They're anxious because they care more than most people. About everything. About everyone. The world needs overthinkers. It needs people who notice what others miss, who prepare for what others ignore, who feel what others don't bother to feel. Your brain isn't broken. It's just louder than most. And once you learn to turn the volume down instead of off, that loud brain becomes your greatest advantage. The psychology of people who overthink everything. You're not broken. You're just running a brain that most people couldn't handle.